Hello and welcome to Real Estate Divas. I'm Kristen Gers here with the fabulous J. Lee Thompson. Today we are talking all about sex and real estate, two of my all-time favorite topics.
Yeah, does it help? Does it not? We're not talking about always like the actual
Trading sex for favors. We're not talking about that all the time.
Yeah, we're talking about discrimination, several different topics here. There's a lot. Or does it help you get more business? You know, just the different things out there as doing real estate as a woman and as an attractive woman in this business.
You know,
really and truly, it's just as a woman.
Really and truly, it is as a woman, but also does being attractive help you?
Yeah.
In any form of business, be it real estate or any company that you decide to start.
Absolutely. So,
well, you as a broker.
Yep.
And I always hear these rumors floating about that
there are. Where you're going with this.
I have to ask because I think it's like an urban legend, right?
Yeah.
Are there agents out there who trade sex for listings?
There is. That's not just a rumor. It does happen.
Really?
It definitely does happen. I was shocked. When I first got into real estate, which has now been eons ago, it was about 16.
Are these the hot ones or kind of just like the fugly ones doing that?
It's both. I mean, it takes all kinds. Just like in life, it takes all kinds. But there was one in particular in my office, the original office that I was in, and she was very, very successful. And it took me a few months before I got the inside scoop, which was, yes, that's exactly what she was doing. Not just with random clients out there, but also builders. So you go in, you make a connection with a builder or a salesperson at, one of these large
networking.
Networking, or even just going to their site, their open house, and you're meeting these people. Most of those agents that are there, they don't go out and scout for business. They're just right there. So who do they send that business to?
Absolutely.
And so this agent was known for going and scouting out
and having fringe benefits.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, it happens. It definitely happens.
Wow. Yeah. It does blow my mind. And, for me, that is not one of my tactics. So I'm not gonna go actually use, the act of sex to go get business. I find that absolutely shocking, and I know it happens a lot.
It does. It's unfortunate just because, some women feel like that's the only way they can go out and get business. But then it also sets a standard. So this is a lot of the stuff that we're pushing back against is that take me seriously. I'm not here to be on a date. I'm here for business. And women who actually
create the culture of that.
Yeah, exactly. So those women that are putting that out there, that are actually making people think that, oh, okay, well, to a meeting, and this is automatically it's presumed that, oh, well, this meeting's going to end up with fringe benefits.
Well, and we're coming out of the hashtag Me Too,
Absolutely.
And I mean we're right on the heels of it, and I'm sure some people are shocked to hear women actually saying, hey, there's women out there that are actually proposing it and throwing it out there, and it makes it harder for
the ones who aren't.
For the ones who aren't, and I would say that's got to be a minority.
It is. I mean, it's definitely not something that happens with everybody. But I would, if I had any. Sorry, you guys. I'm trying to not sit on the mic here.
It's a brand new set.
Yeah. So, I would say if it's a large office, most likely there's probably somebody in the office doing that. If it's a large brokerage, But for everybody else, if you're with a smaller office, you don't have.
I think in every industry you're going to
find it.
1%. Yeah, you're gonna have it. Well, gosh, it still blows my mind. So, do you think that? Because realtors really do. They go out there, they put their face.
Yeah, your face is on everything. I mean,
on their business card, on the sign in front, and I think they're trained that that's I mean, they have to have like a glamour shot up there.
Well, and that's, that happens a lot, even with, as we get older, the going joke with realtors was, oh, I met my agent. She didn't look anything like that because that photo was from 30 years ago,
She never
things
changed
have
it.
changed a little bit, and so almost didn't recognize her.
So the client got catfished.
Yeah, in a sense, if that's what they were there for,
I was
then.
going to hook up with this totally hot realtor. I was going to hire her.
Yeah,
She was hot and she showed up.
Yeah.
That happens. They don't look anything like their profile picture.
Yeah, but when you're getting trained to go out there, you're the sell. It's your business. It's your face that's on everything. Yes, it may say Remax, Keller Williams, all this other stuff, Texel. I mean, it might say any of those things, but usually the face of the realtor is on it, guy or girl, for that
Right.
matter. And
They're
they're getting really, but they're trying to get the most attractive shots as possible, and it helps. But then, in my sense, with me, I don't put my face on anything anymore. But that's mainly because I had so many issues in the beginning. Just a lot of people wanting to meet up and not really wanting any business. It had nothing to do with business. They just wanted to date. So.
No, and I get that. I used to never put my face on anything.
Yeah.
And then I had a bunch of realtors telling me it will absolutely help your sales. And I noticed, I don't know, a 300 or 400% jump in sales just by putting my face on, because people want to know
Who you
are, and who you're, who they're doing business with. So I really do believe it does help. And as Katie Apperson points out, sex sells though, and attractive people sell, especially in something where your face is. And we're not just talking about women.
No, men too. I mean, it's across the board.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I see that. I see your comments.
Ryan
up there,
Harper, I don't
mister.
want to date you. Nice. You totally want to date her, Ryan. Totally want to date her. So title companies, and I don't know how often you in it. There's one title company, and I love the woman who used to run this title company, which is why I used her. Mm-hmm. But 15 years ago, I was a young mother of 2 small boys. Yeah. Like an infant and a toddler, and I'm going into this title company, and it looked like like where all the strippers went in the daytime for work. And I'm not kidding you. I would walk in, and they had stripper pumps on and these like short skirts and tube tops, and I'm like, what's going on here? I'm like, is this just a title company? Are we, are we selling other things out of this title office? And the woman, the woman who ran this office, she's super famous, in the title world here in North Texas, and I love her to death. But I have always wondered about that, and I'm sure she just went out and hired all these young, hot little things, and I bet it built her business.
Do the networking circuit. Yep.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, especially if you show up at networking events, and you have all of these hot little booth babes with you.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. I know that would help. Helps anybody.
It definitely sells. You just gotta. I think the biggest thing here. I mean, obviously it sells. It's a marketing tactic in every industry. Period. Across the board. But since realtors and a lot of us in the real estate industry, you're out there and you're out there by yourself. So you got to be somewhat careful of what you're putting out there, because how far are you going to take it? And if you're not able to verbalize like exactly, because a lot of people have a real hard time communicating their boundaries and where it stops, any of that business. And if you don't have the ability to communicate that, then you might want to tone it back.
I agree, right? And I mean, if you show up and putting it out there, everybody is, I'm a flirtatious person. I mean, I'm gonna flirt with anybody.
Yeah, I used to say I can flirt with a brick wall.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what I do.
That's my personality, and that's how I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
And but I'm also gonna be able to put the brakes on someone and go, hey. That's not happening.
I'm here for business. If that's not what you're doing, and I assume the best of everybody. That's kind of my. That's benefit, I mean, that's a good trait and a bad trait at the same time, because you maybe somebody's giving you signals and you're not taking heed right away, I'm assuming, oh, you didn't mean to say that, or that was a slip, or, oh, you're just being nice. But you need to really, really, keep your ears open, your eyes open, and pay attention to those signals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you all are watching live, let us know. We want to say hi. It's been a minute since we've done a live show, and we're back on for this season starting, this spring. So
yeah, we're kicking it off on Valentine's Day.
On Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Yeah.
In true diva fashion, we do have our wine here.
Yeah.
Phone number to call in. If you want to call in, be on the show, and say hello, comment on anything we're talking about. Phone number is 214-494-9115. That number again is 214-494-9115. Call in and say hello.
Say hello or share a story if you've got one.
Yeah, if you've got some great funny stories. We don't need to be bashing anybody on the show.
Yeah, no names.
No names. But funny stories like slutty title companies, love to hear stuff like that. So networking events.
Networking events. Well, those can be doozies.
I hear people hook up after these things.
Well, I mean, especially if there's
don't be giving me the eyes. I don't hook up. I'm not going there to hook up.
Well, I mean, most of these things are there's alcohol involved. People are getting tipsy, and then and if
you meet somebody cute.
Yeah,
and
so that
you have
happens.
the same interests.
Yeah, but then you've got to be. That's also a touchy subject. I mean, it happens a ton. I know it happens a ton, but it's one of those things that you will be at another networking event with these people at some time, or maybe you're already doing business with them, and then did this just get weird?
That's what I really want to know. I mean, because we've all been at these things. If it's something where I'm in charge of, especially, or if I'm in front of a lot of people and I know I'm going to be public, I try not to drink at those things.
Yeah.
But, you see a lot of other people will drink too much and they go home with somebody. They make that drunk choice to go home with somebody. What happens the next time?
Yeah.
That they see somebody at one of these networking events? They're like, oh, right.
Hey, ladies, it's Kaylee here. Can you hear me?
Hey, Kaylee. How's it going?
Hey, good. I'm on the road. Unfortunately, I tried calling in earlier, and then my house cleaner came, and anyway, so I was able to call back in, and it worked this time, which is good. So sorry. You guys are probably on a different section right now. Sorry to interrupt.
I am
first-time caller, long-time fan. Okay.
So you know what? There's something, because you do a lot. If anybody doesn't know Kaylee McMahon, she's absolutely stunning. And you do a lot with raising. You're raising millions of dollars for multifamily syndication. So what do you find from? What do you find, Kaylee, out there when you're dealing with, mostly male investors raising funds like that?
Yeah, you're right. It's a dual-edged sword, I guess. This conversation gets brought up all the time, and really I just have to have some rules. And so people are like, oh, yeah, play the game. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? What is the game? Like, let's define, is the game like crossing a boundary line and messing around with people? Or is the game try to play the dumb card? Or is the game trying to get people's attention because I'm attractive? Even yesterday this got brought up, if you want people to click on your ads, or if you want people to go to your page, for example, and fill out, we have an investor questionnaire on our page, which will tell you if you're accredited or sophisticated, so which investment you're ready for. For the ad, we're like, oh, well, if there's a video that you're Kaylee in a bikini, but you're only showing belly up or belly button up, and then there's an arrow that is going down on the photo, click click here. And I'm like, I don't know if I like that. But then at the same time, it's whatever gets clicked and then click throughs. So that would be something we were thinking about beta testing. But in person to person conversations, as far as raising money, it is mostly men. It's mostly men that are, say, 30, 37 to 67-ish, maybe a little bit older too. So I have to be kind of careful of my language, because the first thing that's most important is for them to know that if I'm going to handle their money, that I'm professional. So that's like the biggest thing. And so not saying like, yeah, bro, that's cool, even though, which is hard for me to not say because I'm from the West Coast, and so that's just how we talk.
Yeah.
So here, though, in the South, people are like, yeah, bro, that's cool, or brother, or whatever, but here it's not like that. So they want to know that you're professional, so drop some of those things. And then person to person talking to somebody, I'll notice that, for example, and I mean, this happened this week, and not always, like the investor will be attracted to me and I can feel it. Or this happened this week where I was actually attracted to him. And I was like, crap, that's annoying. But pretty much like when they're attracted to me, it's not that big of a deal, because pretty much I just keep my body language.
Very much
professional I'm not,
I'm not giving them hugs. I mean, if I do, it's like a side hug. You know, I also, another thing I learned from somebody else is like when it comes to talking about like relationships, if I just drop that from the conversation, like we can talk about how my grandma's dying, we can talk about how I have bad heart health, and be open, genuine, and honest, and be myself, but then just leave off the part where I'm like, oh, there's this guy I've been dating, or these 3 guys I've been dating, or, I'm
these
divorced.
3 guys I've been dating at one time. Very nice.
Yeah.
Anyways, So thanks for calling, Kaylee. Have a great day. We know you've got I'm sure your day is jam-packed.
About to go meet with an investor now. He's an Aggie. He's head of a family office, so I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, good luck. Thank you for calling in and sharing.
So, getting back to what she was just saying, talking about dating, I would definitely say you want to leave that off.
Yeah, and that's something that, I mean, if you're meant to date and that person in this industry, that'll come along after many meetings, after it'll happen over time, but I would definitely keep that at bay, even if you're attracted to them. Absolutely. Because you've got to figure out, one, if you're just dating around and you're in this industry and it doesn't work out, it could end up being really a bad breakup, or it's kind of nasty right off the bat. You just don't want to have to deal with
somebody.
that.
And I think she's been watching. I saw her comment a couple times.
Yeah.
But we know somebody who that happened to, right?
Yeah.
And you think, oh my gosh, he's so successful, and we can be this real estate power couple.
Hey, Chip Brown. I've known him since junior high.
Have you really?
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
I love him. But yeah, and the other thing was to speak on what Kaylee was talking about. Whenever I was meeting with clients, I've worn a fake wedding ring almost the entire time.
Really?
Yeah, just because when I first got into it, it was one of those, because I am friendly and because I do engage a lot of people, it seemed to help, it seemed to help kind of put it at bay. I didn't have to go into those conversations at all. And if they saw the ring, they're like, it might be a comment of, are you happily married? Yes, happily. Moving on.
So what I found was that I would get approached more with the ring on.
That is, you and I have had this discussion.
We
which
have.
I found it odd. It just seemed like it weeded, for me, it seemed like it weeded some out.
I'm going to tell you, it doesn't weed anybody out. It just takes the ones that, don't.
The ones that respect the entity. It takes out some of the ones that are not creepers.
So, right. So, I mean, you've got somebody hitting on you because you are married and they couldn't start a power relationship with you in this business. Or, you've got ones that think you're single. I mean, it's a catch-22. I mean,
it is.
The ring really, I don't know that the ring really protects you from anything.
Well, I mean, it doesn't. I just found that I had less conversations about it.
Right.
So.
Right.
And then if somebody's going to approach it, then I definitely know you're a creeper. Oh, TJ, is it a huge problem for you too? I can totally see that.
I bet that.
You're such a sexy human being and constantly being probed and prodded on Facebook.
I'm sure. I mean, and just being wanted for your body and being wanted sexually. It's really hard.
He's
hard.
always
it's a
objectified.
Cross to bear. I mean, just be objectified by women. You poor man.
But so I'd love to reach out to a couple of people who have had unsuccessful and successful relationships within this industry, because I've never dated somebody in this industry.
I haven't either.
So it's not anything I can speak to. I just know what it is
Katie out
being
there?
approached.
Katie, you want to give us a call?
Yeah.
She's like, all I see is like Katie Apperson, no strings attached. I'm sure. Oh, that better be her. Is that Katie? Somebody bogart her? Hello? Katie?
Hey. Yes.
All right.
Hey, Katie.
Hey, am I on? Am I on?
You're on. You're live on Real Estate Divas.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Katie.
So Katie, you had a pretty public relationship. Did we lose her? Oh, we hung up.
Technical.
Somebody was calling in, and I was declining that call.
Yeah,
which-
technical
and then they-
difficulties.
And then-
Okay, I think we're on now.
Yeah, we're back on.
We are. We're back.
We lost you. It's a new setup. So yeah, I mean, you had a public kind of power couple. We'll call it a power couple.
Yeah.
Real estate relationship, and then you also had a pretty public breakup. So, I mean, what's your take on dating in the real estate world?
So I will tell you, this has happened to me twice. So I don't know if I've ever told you guys this, but my second transaction ever in real estate I was a retail agent. I dated that buyer for a year.
Wow.
And I got him a amazing deal on his house, $25,000 off of his house in the heat of when I'm telling you the market was so hot. It was insane. And after we broke up, he was literally going to report me, in quotes, report me to TREC for propositioning sex and trading sex for real estate.
Are
Wow.
you
he went on,
kidding
yep.
me?
Then he went on and
So I'm assuming
like-
you broke up with him.
Right?
yeah, he cheated the entire time we were together and had multiple women, like multiple relationships with me, and I had no idea. Like it was probably the most insane like relationship breakup thing that has ever happened. Oddly enough, because I've had quite a few of them. That are crazy. And he went on and reported, like, you know, went on my Yelp and like left bad reviews and did all this stuff. And I don't know if you guys have ever had a bad review listed off of Yelp, but I did.
Wow.
And then of course, you know, the one that a lot of people know about, and I think less people are you know, knowing, they know about it now. And, you know, it was about a year ago, and it was something that, you know, it was a public deal. We were dating. He was a bigger individual in this industry, and I knew that just the type of person that he was, that it was going to happen one way or another, that I was going to be completely and totally railroaded through the entire process. And it happened. And you know what, though? Like, at the end of the day, I thought my whole career was going to be over because of it. And then I just realized, you know what? This is just what the fuck he does. And it's what he does to everybody, and nobody pays no attention to it.
This is exactly
Well,
right. And I mean, and a lot of us were telling you that. We're like, just say nothing, ignore it. It's going to blow over.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
exactly
And I'm
what
cool,
happened.
like-
So
There was mistakes that were made, you know, on both ends of the thing. And I think the problem is, and I don't know at this point if I would date someone in real estate anymore, but even now, like, I'm single. Hey guys, I'm single. Hi. But it's one of those things.
and you're
Katie's
absolutely
single?
stunning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Katie Apperson's single, and she's absolutely stunning. So yeah, no, thanks for calling in and just joining us today and giving us, you know, your opinion, because yeah, you know, dating in, you know, they always say
It's hard.
It is
I mean,
hard, but then
don't
also
dip your pen in the company ink.
Yeah, I have a saying, but it's I'd be cussing, and my grandmother can't handle that. So
Which is when your grandma's watching.
As an
but,
entrepreneur,
you know.
and as someone, you know, in real estate, one, you have to have someone that understands this business that you're dating. So to be able to date someone that's not in real estate, I've also done that, and it sucks. And you know, we're not together because of it anymore. I've dated people in real estate, and it sucks too, because when the breakup is public, everybody knows about it. So I think you just have to find, a happy medium, whatever that works. I know some amazing powerhouse couples in real estate, and
they make it
honestly,
work.
They do, and they make it work. And I don't know if I've ever seen someone break up, that have been married and had to separate everything out that, that would be like Grant Cardone, like ending it with his wife. Like his wife was a part of his business.
Well, and it would end up, it's that minor celebrityism as far as our community goes, because so many of us are, on social media so much and know each other or run in the same circles, network with the same people. So it does end up being quite the public event.
I agree.
Yeah.
Thanks, Katie.
And
have a good day. Go kick it. Bye, lady. Love ya.
Love ya.
So, getting back.
And that's a danger with any relationship, like Katie was saying that she dated outside of this industry and inside, other people that work in this industry. It just depends on the person. And if you have a public persona that you're putting out there in social media and your face is your business, then you've got to take that into consideration when you go out there and you're mingling and starting to date. Oh, well, let's just see who this is.
I don't know who that is. Anyways, yeah.
Are they on?
Oh,
Hi there. Who's on?
Hi, thanks for calling. You're on live with Real Estate Divas. Nope, maybe not. Hello?
Are they there?
Are they there?
Hello?
Oh, hey.
There we are.
Who we got?
It's Kaycee.
Hey, Kaycee.
We were just about to call you.
So
I
you
know.
are a very good
Katie called in, so I thought I would wait.
So you're like, yes, let's try. Because you're running Atlas now, and you're running it with your husband as your partner.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of.
Sort of.
Well, Atlas is really more you. Like that's your thing, your passion, right?
Yeah, so actually it's kind of, I love the conversation because I get this question all the time. When we first started real estate, we were actually at the start of our marriage as well. So like the first year we were in sales together, he actually kind of pulled me out of my kind of career path at the time and brought me into sales. And I loved it. Like, it was like the energy that we had with each other. It's like we would come home, swap stories. We were constantly working on making ourselves better. And it was just a really great energy. And we were both, without the safety net, kind of uplifting each other, because when you don't have a safety net and when you're in the same, industry, you kind of have to uplift each other to keep it going. And so when we started real estate, we had gone into investing together, acquisitions together, like kind of the same sales type role. So it was a really easy transition. But what we found along the way, which is kind of how Atlas was born, was that we're a rare case of two visionaries married to each other, where typically I see most people have contrasting personalities that complement each other. And although we have things that complement each other, when you're both kind of that higher visionary and want that kind of control or vision, you kind of have to have your own side passion projects. And that's kind of how Atlas came about.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. So are you saying that you definitely have like a division of roles and you two know what your roles are and you stay in your same lane?
Absolutely. Like, I think the best part about doing this with my partner is that you work together with such an intensity that part of growing is actually learning yourself, what your personality is, what your skill sets are, what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you like to do, not to do. And you start to see the gaps, and then you start to see what you can delegate that's giving you so much stress, so that you can kind of fall into your seat of where you feel energized. And it took us a long time to figure that out. And we butt heads a lot until we realized, I thought that I was more of an integrator role because I'm kind of a chameleon and can do everything. And so I was trying to fill gaps that he didn't like, but it was stuff I didn't like either. And we butt heads a ton. And it was a lot of pressure and frustration and fighting. But once I realized, actually, I am more of a visionary and kind of found myself in that role,
I started to feel less pressure. I started to feel a little bit more confident in myself. And that's when everything kind of took off.
That's awesome. Well, and that also, I think that's the two of you trying to, like you said, do the same thing, and somebody inevitably ends up, when you have that kind of personality trait that is in common with the other one, somebody always ends up getting kind of the short end of the stick and doing something they don't want to be doing. And I remember when you were going through that.
You kind of call it. Yeah. We called it like beaten dog syndrome, right? You just kind of, like, one is going to submit, one of them is going to, and that person that does, because, we're both visionaries, but we're different profiles of visionaries.
Yeah.
So, one is more dominant than the other, one drives a little bit more than the other. And so it's interesting to see that dynamic. But yes, you kind of just subside and you just kind of do it to get it done because you're a team, but you can only do that for so long.
Yeah.
So are you and your husband both type A personalities?
I don't know. I don't even know what type A is. I think it's more like both of us kind of lack on certain details. Sometimes I can focus like a crazy person. Like I could sit in a chair for 12 hours, not move, and look up and be like, what just happened? Yeah. Where he can't focus for like 5 minutes. And so our like personalities are very, we're both leaders, I guess is a better word for it, in that we kind of take control and lead and have strong visions and ideas. And so we're both kind of drivers in that sense. But in terms of perfectionism, I don't think either one of us are.
Jason's just right in and said, no, we're type A. Type A.
She's definitely type A. I'm like, I know you, and I'm like, you're really type A. There's not a question about whether you're not type A or not.
But type A and perfectionism aren't quite the same thing.
No,
like,
I did.
I said perfectionism?
I didn't. I said type A.
Well, that's why I was clarifying. I was like, I'm not sure, actually. But okay, so yes, I guess I am type A.
Right.
That's funny.
Right. In Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, you would be an alpha. Okay? Just remember that. You're not going to be a beta or a delta or an epsilon. You're an alpha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, thanks for calling, babe.
Yes.
Have a good one.
Thank you, Kaycee.
So,
I love her.
So I could never work with my husband.
Yeah.
In real estate. And just because we are both type A personalities, and I think we know that, and my husband's hugely successful in his own industry, which is, electrical engineering.
Yep.
In the wireless community, he's moderating panels and stuff at events. So it's, it's not something that I think I would ever, he says, oh, I'll just retire.
Not everybody can do it.
Yeah, no, he goes, I'll retire and I'm going to come work with you. And I'm like, the hell you are. No, you're not. I'm like, that's not happening.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Not everybody can do it. It doesn't work for a lot of people,
What about Jimco Roofing?
Jimco Roofing, so that's interesting. So my mom and her husband work together and have for years. They bought it together. And it ends up being kind of a point of contention through their relationship, just because one feels like they got to constantly check on the other. If you're feeling like you have to manage your spouse, then that becomes an issue. And if you're feeling managed by your spouse, then that becomes an issue. And now you live together.
And you can never escape it.
You can't escape it, yeah. And so I think the biggest thing, and the thing that Cassie has going for her, and they have going for them, is that they communicate,
And communicate well.
Exactly. And that's going to be key if you're going to work with your spouse and you're going to, start a business or be in the same industry and have to be around each other all the time. I think that's a pretty big deal.
Anything that you're going to do with your spouse, a lot of people have a misconception that when you start a business, I'm going to be able to have tons of time off and I'm not working all the time. But what you realize quickly is that it never shuts off. You don't.
Yeah, it's a 24/7.
It's a 24/7. And as much as you'd like to say, okay, I'm going to unplug for a little while, it doesn't, it
doesn't happen that way.
It doesn't happen that way. It's so, I can't imagine also then having my partner, on the opposite couch in the living room working on, we would never stop.
Yep.
So I think that would be a huge problem for us.
Yeah. Well, and it's already, real estate is a nights and weekend I mean, it just is.
And well, because a lot of people start off that way, right? They might have a regular job. They decide, I'm going to go get my real estate license. I'm going to start doing that, and it's definitely nights and weekends when they're doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Next subject. One thing, do you have any personal experience of either to where, sex sells, or to where it was
Or sex was involved?
Well, I wasn't going to jump there, but but to where it either got you business or that
just asking for a friend.
Yeah.
Hypothetically,
Yeah.
if one were seeing a lot of foreclosures 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago with their spouse, and that was kind of their free time together, and they decided to maybe have sexual intercourse in some of those, would that be frowned upon? Is that bad?
Well,
Is that wrong?
That would probably be frowned upon. But that's
if you're having sex in a lot of HUD homes,
we're talking about
that is hypothetical, and there's a friend of mine who wanted me to ask on the show if that was wrong.
Well, I'm not really sure that you're
Are you
talking
allowed
about
to have
your
sex
spouse.
Are you allowed to have sex in vacant houses? I don't know. Are there rules
I
against
do know.
that?
I do know, and you're not supposed to.
If you're a licensed realtor, but if you're not licensed by track, that's cool.
Well, I know from my experience in general, I know I mentioned like I used to wear a fake wedding ring all the time, and then also it was always letting people know if you're like as realtors, you're doing these open houses, you're doing them solo.
That's scary.
It's a big issue, and so you want to be very selective about how exactly are you dressing. You can look pretty and look attractive without,
So I get asked,
making it seem like that's what you're
yeah,
there for.
I get asked the question a lot. Do you get business, because of the way you look? And I emphatically say no. Do I think that having an attractive appearance opens doors for you and gets you there?
Absolutely.
Yes, and that's on both sides. That's attractive men and attractive women. But if you can't back it up with knowledge and the way you speak and the way you carry yourself, it's not going to go anywhere. And the biggest thing for me is, how confident are you?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty freaking confident. And if I walk into a room and, it's 24 men, or I'm on a conference call with a bunch of men, I know I'm going to be able to hold my own just with the knowledge I have because I'm confident in my subject.
Yep. Well, and Yolette is also commenting on the solo open houses and the scary solo walkthroughs.
Well,
so,
there's people who are assaulted.
Yes, exactly. I mean, especially when there were so many foreclosures out there, and I was having to walk through, I'm going to go preview them for one of my buyers or something like that. And you don't know if there's somebody, there's squatters in a lot of those places, So are you taking a weapon? Are you taking somebody with you? Are you always letting people know exactly where you are? It's really, those are all considerations that you need to make whenever you're doing.
And women are more likely to be targeted for something like that.
Yep, absolutely. So be careful out there. Just be wary. Nobody's telling you that you can't dress sexy. Nobody's telling you that you can't, put on your best face and go out there and talk and flirt and try to get business when you're networking. But just be aware of what you're putting out there so that people don't assume certain things.
Well, and I always like to point out, too, that there's a difference between sexy and trashy. And know that difference. Sexy, think news anchor.
Yeah.
News anchors are beautiful, they're sexy, they're sophisticated, but they're not trashy.
Yep.
They're not wearing something that you would wear out to, say, a Vegas nightclub.
And I hate to put it, this is one of those topics because I have two girls. I've had this conversation with them. I hate to put it out there of you've got to be aware of what you're putting out there because there's a man involved, every time there's the assault or there's comments being made or anything like that. And you could be wearing a paper bag and it could happen. I'm not saying that it is any woman's fault if anything like that happens.
Correct, it's not.
But these are certain things that you can do to hopefully, create some sort of boundaries.
Well, and my comment was more towards just your general business appearance. you know, there is attractive, there is sexy, and it can be business. It doesn't mean pantsuit.
Yeah, it doesn't have to mean pantsuit.
Although I guess pantsuit would be more difficult to get off,
Yeah.
to be attacked. But I'm just saying, you know, I mean, I don't think that's necessary to ever put a pantsuit on. I think everybody knows I'm anti-pantsuit.
Yeah, that's funny.
Amen, Kristen. Looks only get you so far. If you can't stand your ground on intelligence and knowledge, I also look homeless 90% of the time, and I have no problems with business. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, but you look homeless at home there.
Right. It's not like, yeah, you're not coming on the show looking homeless.
You look fabulous every time I see you.
Yeah, me too. I was just thinking the same thing. Although I have been caught out by Miss Apperson in a grocery store, and I did look homeless, you know, and she wouldn't let me see what she looked like either. So do you feel that, I mean, on this subject, are attractive women treated differently?
Well, I think that,
Or attractive men?
only because more people are going to come to you. You're going to, you know, if you're in a networking room, people are going to gravitate
towards attractive people. Yeah, they want to hang out with
I mean, my grandmother always told me, look, don't leave the house without looking your best. You never know who you're going to meet. It could be your next spouse, your next boss, I say next spouse, you know, it could be your next boyfriend. At the time, she was telling me about boyfriends. But it could be the next person in any facet of your business or personal relationship. And she came from an era where, you know, where she was made up when her husband came home. I don't believe in that sort of thing, but I do believe you always put your best foot forward if you're trying to get business. And so if the more attractive you are, most likely the more people that come up. But it's also for the person who is out there networking, I believe there's also more hurdles that might come your way because you're going to have to field those. You're going to have to figure out who's serious about business, who's trying to pick me up for a date, you know.
You know, though, I always say that, you know, every single person walking the earth has their strengths. Mm-hmm. And you're a damn fool if you don't play to your strengths. And if you happen to be attractive, you know, why would you make yourself unattractive to, you know, avoid those few people that are coming up to you and not get the most opportunity at all times? So, no, I'm a big believer in, looks, sex sells, looks are important.
We've all been to the networking events where that booth is completely filled with short skirts and, you know, and I've been to charity events where, you know, the networking part or the people that are there for, you know, that are sponsoring, it's all pretty ladies and a couple of cute guys.
Yeah, and a couple of cute guys, which is, I mean, you know, I think the stereotype goes both ways, you know, because people have commented, they're like, you know, how do you feel? I often, if I walk into a room where nobody knows who I am, it's a room full of men, it is just instantly, I'm looked at as a booth babe.
Yeah.
And I've had people come up to me and go, oh, you know, whose secretary are you?
Yeah, well, and
whose
that's
personal
the other
assistant?
thing.
Are you looking for somebody? You know, I'm like, I've been standing by the Capricorn mortgage booth, you know, and I've had guys numerous times come up to me and go, so Capricorn Mortgage Investments, and is your boss around? I'd love to talk to him. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'm like, well, you're looking at her.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times people assume if you're, you know, not only if you're a woman, but if you're attractive in this industry, that you probably don't know what you're talking about.
No, absolutely.
Unless you're a realtor, because realtors are typically women, you know, I mean, that's kind of across. So women as realtors is okay, you know, as a general rule.
The funny thing is, I think I do the same with men too.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there's a certain, I mean, everybody knows, yes, a taller man for some reason seems to know his stuff. No, you know, I'm not dissing anybody who's, you know, short or anything like that. But also just really pretty ones that look like they, you know, you might have won them in a raffle or something like that. You know, I think it's understood that those guys probably, you know, maybe don't have as much to offer upstairs because they're so pretty. And then, you know, sometimes you're really shocked. You're like, gosh, that guy's really smart.
Yep. It can go both ways, but typically in a male-dominated
industry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do I find it as a disadvantage or advantage? And I always say advantage.
Play it to your advantage.
Play it to your advantage.
It can be, but a disadvantage in certain situations. But those are not across the board.
No. You know, and women always ask, you know, how do you walk into a room like that where you're the only woman? And I say, I play, you know, I walk in and I go, I know more than anybody else in this room, and I exude that confidence.
Which is important.
And then I start talking.
Yep.
You know, or I'll jump in on a conversation.
Well, and let's say you're not an expert in your field like you. If you're going into these networking events and you're going to, you know, you're going to gather information or maybe just partner with people who know more than you, then just listen, but also.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know, especially starting out and going, hey, I'm brand new at this, and actively listening to what the person is saying, and then asking a question.
And, you know, maybe be aware try to be aware of the innuendos or the asks as far as taking it across that line of into dating, because you don't want to open yourself up to that, or maybe you do.
I like Kaylee's response. I do tend to play the dumb card or just ignore stuff like that.
Yep.
I'll just gloss over it like it was never said.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they bring it back again, I'll just play dumb and I'll pretend like I have no clue what they're talking about. I'm like, I know I was really brilliant like 2 seconds ago, but suddenly suddenly the blonde hair dye has just completely gone to my brain and fried it.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Wonder if we've got any other people commenting.
Yeah, I don't know if we had any questions or not. I think I read some of those comments.
Because I think we've actually hit most of our topics here, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yep. So ladies, just be aware that, you can still dress beautiful.
I agree. I
put your
think
best
there
foot
is.
forward.
I think there's nothing wrong with being beautiful and intelligent. You know, are we going to go, I'm not even going on a limb and say that it's rare. I think our society and our culture has trained everybody and brainwashed everybody to say you have to be one or the other. You know, you can be beautiful or you can be smart. Yep. You cannot be both.
Yep, that's true. That's true. I see that a lot. So we want to make sure that people sign up for, what is this, the REI Guild?
Yes.
Yes, 2020.
2020, what is
Wait,
that? That's
February 20th, 2020.
So
right
very, very new
corner.
title, and he knows I love the title. I'm like, oh, Guild, and I'm like, the REI Guild. I heard it. I was like, oh, I wish I had that. I wish that was mine.
Yeah, the REI Guild. So anyway, REI Guild, is that going to be here? Where is that?
The Lolly Art Group on next Thursday.
It's at
awesome.
Yeah, it's at a swanky art
Art gallery.
Art gallery
so
on Dragon Street. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. So look it up on Facebook. That's the REI Guild.
Oop.
Oh, look. Capricorn.
Sponsored by Capricorn. Even though I'm skiing next week.
Oh, so you won't even
I
be
won't
there.
even be there. I'm going to be skiing.
Oh, she didn't say that. She's going to be there in spirit.
I'll be there. I'll be there in spirit. I'm going to be skiing, though. Yeah. Won't be chatting much.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, cool. I'll be sure to join. I'll be there.
Awesome.
I'll be there. Anyway, happy Valentine's Day,
Happy
everybody.
Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, Travion.
There's our lovely Travion.
Y'all have a good one. If y'all have any questions, y'all can drop them in the comments and we'll get back to you guys. I mean, this is a topic that we both are familiar with and that we know we've experienced both sides of it. And if you have any input, just drop it in the comments, because I know people will go through these and kind of see what's
and go
been
out
said.
there. Go out there and be fabulous.
Absolutely.
Be beautiful, be intelligent, man or woman.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter in this business.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Cheers.
my love.
Thanks for watching Real Estate Divas. Bye.